Welcome to another edition of Mac's How-To Tips. Today we're going to talk about repairing a Hayward variable speed pull pump known as the TriStar VS. My filter was making a grinding sound in the filter area. It wasn't a high-pitched squeal. That's a bearing. They also said it could be clogged. That wasn't the case because I had a good prime and flow. But it was a grinding sound. So if your pump sounds like this, and it's sort of in the back part of the filter area, it's probably the internal components, the propeller or the bearings inside that unit itself. Before I tore apart my pump, I looked at the Hayward site and found the items I really needed, the main components of that back part of that filter. You'll need the impeller with the screw replacement. You'll need the diffuser replacement and also the O-ring kit that has all the O-rings for that filter. It's a fairly simple job. You'll just need a couple sockets, 1/2 inch, 9/16 and 1/4, Phillips screwdriver, and a T30 torque socket or a torque wrench that you'll remove the impeller with. It took me about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, because I was taking a lot of pictures for this video. Here's the steps I took to replace the components. First, make sure the power is off, both the 220 if your pump's 220 and the 120 volts if you have a control system. You need to drain your main filter, so I just opened the orange knob on the top to let the water drain back through into the pool. And then I also removed the drain plug on the pump side. That's the back side. The front knob that you see is towards the front part that would drain that, but that normally drains out to the pool anyways. The first thing you'll do is remove the ground line. There's actually a small little bolt. I used the 1/4 socket there. It's circled. You undo that. That removes your ground line. You don't have to undo everything. That's just the main ground attachment. And then there are 6 bolts. It's the outside bolts around your filter pump. So there's 3 on one side, and the one that's circled, you don't see anything because the bolt is down underneath the motor a little bit. And then you got 3 on the other side that matches. Those are the only bolts you'll need to remove. Once you get those bolts out, it's very simple. You just slide your motor back. It'll pop right out. From here on in, you're going to want to take pictures as you take it apart so you know how to reference it, of how to reassemble it. Or you could always come back to this video, but your pump might be a little bit different model, but the steps are fairly well the same. When I installed my system, I made sure I had enough control line and power line that I could move and lift the motor up onto the heater. Yours may not have enough to do that. You may have to disconnect those lines to lift it up to work on it. But this is the view of the back side of the filter basket. You can see the main impeller and the rotors on the inside of that. Take note of your gaskets. There's 2 in this picture. One's on that little circle in the very front, and then of course you have the filter, sort of that square top filter that is around the outside of it. In that kit you will get 2 new gaskets, O-rings, to replace those. To remove the impeller cover, there's actually 2 Phillip heads. You can see them circled there. It's their standard they're standard screws, so you can just take them out and then you can pull the impeller covering off. I thought initially you had to remove the bolts that are in the back. You do not need to do that. That was an extra step, so I found out after the fact that it's just these 2 screws that are holding that cover on. Once the cover is removed, you'll see the impeller, and you also see the white impeller ring coupler. Make note of the orientation of all the rest of the parts that are going to follow, because they need to go on in the exact same way. So that white ring just pops off there, and then you'll remove the impeller. Using the T30 Torx, I found that worked the best because if you have an Allen wrench or a Torx wrench, you can't really get a good grip on it, so I used the socket. It is reverse threaded, so you're going to turn it clockwise to the right to loosen it. You'll just hold the impeller and then you can loosen that up and get that bolt out. After you get that bolt out, you can slide off the impeller. To move the impeller, it's actually threaded on that bolt. You'll see it doesn't slide out. You got to sort of twist it. I was able to twist it fast, left and right, and it broke loose and screwed. If you cannot break yours apart, you may need to remove the back cage to the motor, and there should be either a nut on there or a slide out on the axle that you can put a wrench on to hold the axle, and then you can be able to unscrew the impeller. The other thing is take note of the spring that's noted by the red arrow. Make sure you note how that goes back on. There is a right way and a wrong way. But you can see here what was making that grinding sound. Both my impeller was worn down. You can see sort of the teeth is chipped. So it's starting to lose its flow capability. Also, the main housing was cracked there, so I think the housing was wiggling as the motor turned it, and that was that grinding, cracking sound that you heard in the video. Yeah, before you reassemble, you're going to use that lube in the kit to lube up the O-ring, that collar spring that we just talked about, the white sleeve, and then you're going to reverse the procedures and the steps we just went through. Don't forget that impeller screw is reverse threaded, so to tighten, you're going to do it counterclockwise or to the left. Well, that's it. I hope that helped you out. Happy pool time and happy swimming.